This is just a quick call regarding some items you've left abandoned in your cart. How are you doing today?
In a world where AI is taking over the scene and there's so much conversation about which AI systems are going to be the ones that are going to revolutionize the future, VAPI AI has stood out to be one of the biggest contenders to actually change the game. And especially for e-commerce businesses that are looking to attract attention, grow and stay relevant, implementing this AI infrastructure into the business will certainly boost you ahead of your competitors who aren't already using these into their systems. In today's video, we are going to go through VAPI AI in the most basic form and understand exactly how you can harness its powers, integrating it into your business and making a change starting today. So this is how things are going to look like when you get into VAPI. On the side over here, you have your overview. You then have your platforms. In your platform, you also have your assistants, phone numbers, files, tools, blocks, squads, voice library, and also your call logs. But we're going to get into every single one of them shortly. Let's first off start off with the overview. So on here in overview, you're able to see the exact total call minutes that the AI agent is able to make, the number of calls, the total spent, and also the average cost per call. It's pretty cool because it allows you to track exactly everything that's going on, and you're able to calculate how profitable or how efficient the AI agent is working for you by being able to see the total spend, which is great because when you start integrating it into your business, you then want to be able to calculate the expense in correlation to having a human handler. So you're also able to check out the call analysis, which is where you can get a quick overview of how your calls are going within the organization, and then also see the reason why the call ended. So for example, over here we get that the assistant ended the call. We also get an unknown error for a particular reason, which allows you to then be able to go in there and see, what that error was. Here we can clearly see the main reason was that the customer ended the call. And then here we get to see that the customer did not give the microphone permission. And then here we see that the assistant made the end call phase, which ended the call in general. All of these are just reasons for why the call that I've been testing out has ended. None of the reasons are particularly bad. Even if the customer ended the call, it just means that the conversation ended and the customer ended the call. In this case, it's just me testing out the assistant that I created for you guys, that you guys can actually copy and paste into your own e-commerce businesses and try it out and let us all know how it goes. And then over here we've got the assistants table, which is where you'll see the different AI assistants that you've got going on. So just let you know the name. So the name of the AI assistant that I created already is called Ava. It also let you know the call count and then also the average duration. And if you click next, and if you had others as well, then it also let you know the information for them also. So then moving on, when you go into platforms and then assistants, this is where I believe you'll be spending the majority of your time. Over here is where you'll create the assistant. Like I mentioned earlier, I've already created one called Ava, which is what we're going to go through. Over here, we've got the model. We've got the transcriber, voice, functions, advanced, and analysis for the AI assistant. Over here on the model, before we go there, this is where you would actually be able to test and talk with the assistant itself, but we will get to that at the end of the video. So this part is especially important because here you get to see how much it's actually costing you to run this AI assistant. So it lets you know all the software that it's using that is actually costing the money. So over here we can see that the majority of the cost is being taken up by the VAPI fixed cost, which doesn't change, which is 5 pence. And then we've also got DeepGram, which takes up 1 pence. The mode that we're using is the ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, which is taking up 1 pence. And then the source that we're using is Azure, which is basically taking up 1 pence also. But you're able to change some of these. For example, for Azure, you can change it to 11 Labs, DeepGram, OpenAI, but they will change the cost of the overall program, which I will show you. So for example, if you were to change it to 11 Labs, I believe the cost will go up to like 11 pence per minute or something of that nature. 11 Labs does cost more. I do kind of prefer Azure, but it's all entirely up to you and up to what you prefer. But it's important to remember that these are just estimates and not exact numbers of how much they will cost. So moving on, when we scroll down to model, we see that this section allows you to configure the model for the assistant. So this is exactly where you are going to put your prompt to basically give the AI assistant the knowledge of knowing exactly what you need it to do, what you need it to say, the whole purpose for its existence comes from this part of the video. So I've written here an example of a prompt that you guys can use. So I'm not going to go into deep detail in this video about prompts and so on and so forth, because I want you guys to really understand how VAPI works, where everything is, how to set yourself up. And I will surely make another video that's literally breaking down everything from prompts and everything else that you need. And this is essentially the main course, and it's going to frame exactly how the AI assistant functions. So here on the side, you see the provider. The one I use is OpenAI. The model, the one I use is ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo Cluster. The temperature, which I keep at 0.1 because it keeps the assistant focused on the task, which is basically what we want. We want to be able to determine exactly what the AI is saying and for it to not be as sporadic with its ideas. But I guess you can play around with it and sort of see what works for you. And then we have the max tokens, which is the max number of tokens that the assistant will be allowed to generate in each turn of the conversation. So 250 is a good number to keep it at, because you don't really want it to be talking too much or talking too little. And this is the part that gets everyone scared, which is detecting emotions, allowing the AI to be able to detect whether the customer is getting annoyed or angry or is happy. Yeah, it scares everyone just because of, movies like iRobot and stuff, thinking that AI is going to take over. But as the famous saying goes, it's not necessarily AI that's going to take over, but those that know how to harness the power of AI, they will be the ones that will be taking over. But yeah, you can keep this on or have it off. It depends. I say you test it out, play with it, see what works for you, and go on from there. So moving on to configuring the conscription setting of the assistant. Over here, you get to see the provider that you'll be using. So you can use Dgram, TalkScriber, or Gladia. And then here we can see the language you'll be using. And if you wanted to support both English and Spanish, for example, you can set the language to multi and use 11 Lab Turbo 2.5 in the voice tab, which is pretty cool because it means you can have a multilingual assistant, which is just crazy when you actually think about it. It's so futuristic. It's amazing. And then the model, typically I'll keep at Novo 2 because that works with what we're trying to go for. And then moving on to voice is where we're going to be able to define what the AI assistant is going to sound like, whether it's going to sound like a female, whether it's going to sound like a male, whether it's going to have a deep voice, high pitched voice. That can all be changed up over here where it actually says voice. And over here you get to see all the different type of voices that you could potentially use as your AI assistant. Some of them have different accents depending on what country it's supposed to sound like it's from, which is really, really cool and really, really specific. I mentioned earlier I'm using Azure, but if you also use, for example, 11 Labs, which is also a very, very popular one, I think one of the most popular ones, then you can see over here that the cost per minute increases. And if you also use a different one, let's say for example OpenAI, you can see that the cost goes down again. So it's all entirely dependent on what you choose, and each one has different voice options. So for example, if we was to go back to 11 Labs, it's got different voice options in comparison to Azure and all of the others. It's all entirely dependent on what works for you and what you prefer. So test them out and see what one works for you, and also consider the cost because it really does rack up. So you got to be very vigilant about that. And this is where we spoke about earlier about the model and being able to choose the multilingual version that you would like. As it says over here, the 11 multilingual version 2, the state-of-the-art multilingual speech synthesis model, which allows you to generate lifelike speech in 29 languages. And then you have the Turbo, which is ideally suited for tasks demanding extremely low latency. And then you have the version 2.5, which I guess is better than the version 2. And then you also have the 11 Labs version 1, which is their standard English language model to generate speech in various voices, styles, and also moods. So then you also get the additional configuration, which allows you to do some pretty cool stuff. For example, in the background of the AI assistant, you can actually add some different noises. So for example, you can have an office sound, which will make it sound like the AI is actually in an office. It gives it more of a realistic tone to it, but it's pretty dependent on the field that you're working in and where the AI assistant should be calling from. So take note of that. So then we've got the filler injection, the back channeling, which is basically where the AI will basically use its ums and ahs to sound more human-like. So it depends, it's entirely up to you whether you want to use it or not. Some businesses want their AI to sound more like a bot, and others actually want it to sound as human-like as possible. Both are great, to be honest. I don't see the problem with either or. It's entirely up to you and exactly what you're looking for. So this is just where you enable the background noise in. So the office noise that I was telling you about earlier, this is where you just enable, you turn it on or you turn it off. So next up, we've got functions, which allows you to use certain tools. So if you wanted to allow your voice bot to perform certain actions and tasks during the call and synchronize everything so that certain tasks are done. And you can also allow for enabling the end call function. So at the end of the call, the AI assistant will just end the call instead of having to wait for the caller themselves to end the call. And you can also enable the dial keypad function as well, which just allows the AI assistant to access the keypad and put in certain digits in relation to what you need it to do. And here allows you to put in your forwarding phone number. So if during the call, the AI assistant isn't able to complete a certain task, and you have it so that if a customer requests to speak to a human agent, or if the task that the customer is asking for it to do is too complex for the AI assistant to complete, then it would direct the customer to a human agent, which would be through this number that you are going to be implementing in this section right here. And then you also get a end call phrase, which over here says goodbye. And then you get the end call phrase, which just allows the bot to be able to end the call after a certain phrase. As it says here that it works best with ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo and also smaller models. So keep that in mind if you want to use this function also. And then at the bottom over here, we've got the custom functions, which allows you to implement more complex custom functions using PipeDream and make.com, which is where things really get interesting. Do you know what else should be functioning? The like and subscribe button. If you've made it this far into the video, show those buttons some love, as it would massively help me out and allows me to make better videos for you guys so that we can all grow. So then we've got the more advanced options, which is where you can configure your privacy settings. So for example, if you also enable this option, then no logs, recordings or transcriptions would be stored. And this is where if you also use VAPI for web calls, you'll be able to record or disable any recordings of the videos. And this is where you can configure the pipeline. So for example, if the customer isn't speaking for a certain amount of time, then the AI system will just assume that the call has ended, so it will just cut the call from there. Or you can also affect how long the system waits after the customer has stopped speaking or finishing the sentence for it to actually start its next sentence. You can also use it to calculate the amount of words that the customer would use before the assistant interprets it as it's being interrupted, so that it will stop speaking to allow the customer to carry on speaking, and also limit the maximum duration of the conversation, which allows you to also have a sense of control on the cost, because then the customer won't be able to just go on and on and on and on, and that will cost you money. Especially if you're just starting out with VAPI, you want to make sure that the assistant is as efficient as possible to keep your costs low and be as direct and effective as possible when speaking to the customer. There are also messages that can be sent, for example, for customers that may have missed the call. You want to be able to send them a voice message, or for example, if the call ends, sending them a nice message saying thank you for calling or thank you for the call, or so on and so forth, allows the customer to feel that you are prioritizing them personally as customers. After you've made any changes to any of these, just ensure that you click on publish to ensure that it is saved within VAPI, just because if you refresh, it might not have saved, so that the system may have kept everything as it was before you actually made the changes. So just ensure that you click on publish whenever you make any sort of changes at all. Then moving on to phone numbers, this is where you would implement your phone number that you're going to be using within VAPI. So you can either buy a phone number with them, or you can import one using Twilio. If you would like me to go through Twilio also and show you how to connect Twilio to VAPI, I can make a video for that also, so let me know in the comment section. But yeah, so this is where it will be found, whether for inbound or outbound calls. So you would place both the numbers in here, and this is where it would be calling from or receiving the calls from. And then this is where you got your voice library, which allows all the different voices that they've got. So using 11 Labs, these are all the voices that you would hear using 11 Labs. So for example, if we was to try to listen to Emma,
Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Some stern words from Emma, but that's what Emma would sound like.
The heart has eyes which the brain knows nothing of.
So you can hear the difference in how Emma and Veda sound like. Veda has got more of an Indian accent, as it says over here, and then Emma sounds like a typical American young lady. I believe it was American. So you can also check out the different options that they have here as well. So you can check out using Azure or OpenAI. So try to listen to some, maybe not all, because that'll take you forever, but try to listen to some and see what works for you, remembering that some do cost more. So 11 Labs does cost more than using Azure, for example. It's amazing as well because you can also filter it to the different languages that you want as well, also the gender that you want the assistant to be speaking in. Here we've got the call logs, which just allows us to see every single call that we've had using the VAPI assistants. So it allows us to see the cost of the call, the reason why the call ended, which assistant you used, the phone number, which customer called, and also the call times and duration. So the prompt I've given to VAPI is to encourage the customers to buy the products that they may have left in the cart on the website. So that's exactly the encouragement I've given the assistant using the prompts that I've written here. You have to be very careful of how you write the prompt because it will basically manage how the whole flow of the conversation will go. You can actually use ChatGPT also to help you create an effective prompt that you can just implement into VAPI. But let's give it a call, test it out, and see how it sounds.
David, this is Ava calling from Sapology. This is just a quick call regarding some items you've left abandoned in your cart. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
I noticed, and I wanted to see if there's anything I can assist you with to complete your purchase. I noticed that you left a few items in your cart, and I wanted to see if there's anything I can assist you with to complete your purchase. Do you have any questions or need help with anything specific?
No, I didn't need help with anything specific. I was going to make the purchase pretty soon.
Alright, cool. To make it easier for you, we can offer you a 10% discount on your order if you complete it within the next 24 hours. I'll also send you a link to your cart so you can finish up without any hassle. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks for considering your purchase with us. Don't forget that 10% discount is available for the next 24 hours. I've also sent you a direct link to your cart. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
David, this is Ava calling from Sapology. This is just a quick call regarding some items you've left abandoned in your cart. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
I noticed that you left a few items in your cart, and I wanted to see if there's anything I can assist you with to complete your purchase. Do you have any questions or need help with anything specific?
Yeah, I wanted to know if the item that I have in my cart is still in stock.
Got it. I can definitely help you with that. I'll transfer you to one of our call agents who can assist you further with your inquiry. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, and we'll make sure to get this sorted out for you.
No problem. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you have any other questions or need further assistance, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.
So they're giving you two different examples of how the call can go if everything goes well and smoothly. It will give you a 10% discount and let you know that that 10% discount is valid as long as it's used within 24 hours. Or if the customer has some sort of inquiry that the AI assistant cannot accomplish itself, then it will direct the customer to a call handler, which you'll make the configurations on VAPI so that it is directed at the correct call handler. And then from there, a human agent will be able to take over and answer any queries or complete the fulfillment that the customer needs completed. So what was the main objective for this video? Essentially, it was for you to be able to find out how to set up your own AI assistant using VAPI AI, to break down every single aspect of the platform so that you can go in and know how to work and function everything on a very basic level, and also how to implement some prompts into VAPI AI so that your AI assistant can accomplish a task such as abandon cart recovery calls. So before the end of the video, let's go into why it is important for e-commerce businesses to start implementing this into their business. So it ensures re-engagement of customers who left items in their cart without completing the purchase. And how it works, which is what we went through, is that VAPI AI would automatically call customers who have abandoned their carts, offering assistance and a personalized 10% discount code if they complete the purchase within 24 hours. And then the benefit, as mentioned before, is that it increases conversion rates by directly addressing customer hesitations and providing a seamless path to purchase. And if you would like for me and my team to come into your business and integrate these AI infrastructures, let me know by DMing me at itsdaveid on Instagram. So make sure you like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And I'm looking forward to catching you in the next one.